That's good.
Guess we don't need this.
Welcome to MojoPlays, and today we'll be counting down 3D video games from the 1990s whose graphics still hold up, relatively.
Before we begin, we publish new content all week long, so be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos.
Rayman 2: The Great Escape. A 3D platformer starring the limbless mascot character Rayman, this sequel wears its age fairly well. However, because it was released across multiple platforms, the actual graphical quality will vary depending on which version. No matter which of them you play though, we're gonna go out on a limb and say that its cartoony art style looks good regardless. Featuring an enchanting world, an engaging story, and great gameplay, Rayman 2 is a great escape back to a simpler time that won't feel too dated today. Grim Fandango.
Work orders are assigned by my office and are not exchangeable among salesmen. Swapping, selling, and specially stealing work orders will result in severe disciplinary action.
Point-and-click adventure games in general tend to age pretty well, and the first one by LucasArts to use 3D graphics has held up fantastically. A film noir mystery flavored with a Land of the Dead aesthetic, Grim Fandango is like the Maltese Falcon meets Coco. Created by Tim Schafer and featuring the creator's signature snappy humor, Grim Fandango has graphics full of panache and more skeletons than a mobster's closet. The story's hilarious and sucks you right in, and if the visuals are still not up to your standards, there's always the remastered version.
Nice bathrobe.
Crazy Taxi. Released in arcades at the tail end of the decade, Crazy Taxi delivered absolute insanity. The game sees players forced to get their passengers to their destinations in a set amount of time. With little regard for the rules of the road, pedestrians, or other drivers, although the detail on the faces isn't up to today's standards, the colorful palette and realistic proportions are pretty good for the turn of the millennium. And regardless of your opinion on the graphics, the soundtrack is just as awesome now as it was decades ago, though you may need to be a 90s kid to truly appreciate it.
Come on, get it.
Thanks. Take me to the fire station.
It's party time.
Tekken 3. The Tekken franchise has always been near the forefront when it comes to graphical quality. Although Tekken 3 isn't up to modern standards, it's still impressive for the time. The game features a fairly large roster of diverse fighters, some of whom go on to become some of the biggest names in the franchise. Tekken 3 is also notable for its increased emphasis on sidestepping, which adds more depth, literally, to the fighting system. And bottom line, it still plays great, which is all most people want in a fighter anyway. Shenmue.
Excuse me.
What is it?
Do you sell boat tickets to Hong Kong here?
Boat tickets. Yeah, we do.
Released only 2 days before the end of the decade, Shenmue just barely qualifies for our list. Indeed, many of its features were pioneering and influenced many of the games of the last 20 years. Shenmue features NPCs with complex schedules, an open-world environment, quick-time events, and mini-games aplenty. Its visuals were also revolutionary for the time, with a level of quality rarely seen on consoles. Although Shenmue didn't get much recognition at the time, it has since become a cult classic. Super Mario 64. Sure, some of the polygons in this N64 launch title are sharp enough to draw blood through the screen, but come on, it's Mario. Nintendo's mascot is ageless regardless of the medium. Super Mario 64 basically invented the 3D platformer, giving players control over the camera and giving us free reign to explore Princess Peach's castle and the many worlds within. Peggle! Super Mario 64 has remained so beloved because of how vibrant and distinct its environments are, how responsive and fun it is to control Mario, and because it's just a solid game all around. Like we said, it's Mario. Half-Life.
Hey, Mr. Freeman. I had a bunch of messages for you, but we had a system crash about 20 minutes ago, and I'm still trying to find my files.
Even today, Half-Life plays very much like modern shooters. That's probably because most of the current FPS games owe a lot to Half-Life. The game features fast and responsive combat and tells its story through in-game events, the latter of which is popularized. Playing as Gordon Freeman as he battles aliens and human soldiers is not an experience we'll soon forget. The graphics are fantastic for the late 90s, and the aesthetic of Black Mesa and the other environments you encounter remain striking. In fact, you might say that Half-Life's Half-Life has been long indeed.
Fine. You won't even know I'm here.
Banjo-Kazooie. Out of all the 3D platformers from the 90s, Banjo-Kazooie has probably aged the best. Its cartoony art style has a way of smoothing out any rough edges to its graphics. And while the game still looks great, its spectacularly catchy music and fun gameplay hold up just as well. With its charming characters, big worlds to explore, and more collectibles to grab than you can shake a bird in a backpack at, Banjo-Kazooie will fit in perfectly no matter what year it is. Kinda like a puzzle piece. Metal Gear Solid.
Right. Touch that wire.
Metal Gear Solid essentially popularized cinematic storytelling in video games, and it couldn't do that without some decent graphics. Although it looks blockier than games today compared to most games of the time, it's downright photorealistic.
So you're in this for money? I don't need money.
Not only does Metal Gear Solid still look good, but its stealth gameplay and solid controls ensure that we still have a blast whenever we play it. Just don't ask us to explain the storyline, we'd need an hour.
I've left my mark on you. I won't forget it. Until I kill you.
The Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time. You're shocked, we can tell. There's a reason Ocarina of Time tends to top so many top 10 lists, and not just from us, it's amazing. The expansive world of Hyrule looks beautiful even decades later. The character designs are unique and iconic. Every locale is bursting with personality. Along with the set dressing, every other aspect of the game holds up wonderfully too. The story's simple but gripping. The music is spectacular. The controls were innovative and influenced many games to come. And speaking of influences, Ocarina of Time basically became the gold standard by which every other Legend of Zelda game has been measured since its release. Truly, it's a timeless game. If there's a three-dimensional game from the 20th century's last decade you think is still choice, let us know your choice down below.
Check out these other great clips from MojoPlays, and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos.